Hello, all you lovely people out there in the metaverse. In this video, we're just going to do 3 quick examples of kind of classic SAT type exponent problems. Okay, so we're just going to go through this rather quickly because I'm trying to keep this in reasonable amount of time. So if it's confusing to you, pause, rewatch, or of course you can always reach out to me. All right, the first one. Which of the following represents this ugly thing over that thing written in simplest form? Well, remember, from our previous videos when we talked about the rules, we know that some sort of root sign, in this case, let's look at the top one, the 6, that just means everything inside has to be their exponents multiplied by 1/6. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do that for a moment. So for the top, if we have root, so let's see what's inside. It's x to the 10th, y 12th. Right? And it's supposed we have the 6, it's a 6th root, so we'll be using the parenthesis rule. We just multiply everything in there by 1/6. So let's see. That gets us to x to the 10/6. We'll worry about that in a moment. Don't freak out over weird fractions. And y to the 12/6. But 12/6, that's just the same thing. This 12/6 is just the same thing as 2. So I'm just going to write that as 2. Okay? So that's the top. And we do the same thing for the bottom. Same thing for the bottom is going to be, let's see, parenthesis, what's inside? We have x5, y6, and then that is to the third, the cubic root, right? So that means we're just going to multiply all the exponents in there by 1/3, which gets us to, check me if I'm wrong, should be x to the 5/3 power, right? Because 5 times 1/3 is 5/3, and y to the 6 times 1/3, but 6 times 1/3 is 6/3, which is also the same thing as 2. So I'm just going to write that as y2. Okay. And then they say, well, let's simplify this. Well, obviously, we can use our division rule, right? We're using this and dividing and so on. So the division rule says, just subtract. We take the top exponent. So let's see. We'll do the y's ones, the y's first. All right? So it would be this one, 2, minus 2, which gets us to y to the 0 power, which is just the same thing as 1. Anything to the 0 power is just equal to 1. And you can kind of think about that, right, too? Like, we just canceled these things off, right? They were the same top and bottom, so they're just gone. All right, so that's just 1. So we're at this right now. We're at x to the 10/6 times 1 over x to the 5/3. All right? Well, let's do the same thing here. If we do subtraction, 10/6 minus 5/3. What's that going to get us to? 10/6 minus 5/3. Again, division rule, right? The top base minus the exponent of the bottom base. Okay, well, hopefully you can see, I mean, we can't really subtract these because these denominators are different, but hopefully this is not confusing, but you could multiply, to make those denominators the same, we could multiply this one by 2/2, right? That gets us to 10/6. So it boils down to what's 10/6 minus 10/6, which is 0. And like we talked about, anything to the 0 power is just 1. So it looks like these cancel off as well, leaving us with just 1 times 1/1, which is A. Okay? I went through that kind of fast. If that is confusing to you, let me know. I will try to explain a little bit more thoroughly. But here, let's move on. Let's do the second one. Okay, so this one looks scary. But again, like we just talked about with the different rules, first thing we want to do, and here I'm going to put it up here. Think of PEMDAS. Remember that? Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtractions. This is the rule about what you should do first. First thing we should do is take care of everything in the parentheses. And what that means is see if we can combine anything together. And it looks like, let's see, what terms we have. We have a -2, we have an x, we have a y, and we have another x. So it looks like we can combine those two x's together because they have the same base. So that should be, based on our exponent rules, we would add those exponents. So it looks like inside the parenthesis, we would have -2 x to the -2 power times y to the 3rd, and all of that to the -3rd power. Okay? All right, so we have, I don't forget it, we have that -2 hanging outside, but we'll deal with that in a moment. Okay, so now we can't combine any more terms, so we're done with this stage here. The parenthesis part is done. Now we have to do all the exponents. Well, that would mean we use our parenthesis rule, right? We take this -3, and that's going to be multiplied by each of the exponents inside, not forgetting the 2. So that is going to become, let's see, we have -2, -2 to the -3rd power, x to the +6th power, right? Because -3 times -2, the negatives would cancel. Y to the -9th power. Okay. All right. We're almost done with exponents, but what you're going to want on the SAT and math in general is you're going to want to have everything in positive form. You don't want to have negative exponents. But remember our rule. Negative exponents just mean they're on the wrong side. So this y belongs down here. So does the 2, right? But the x is positive, so it can just stay where it is. So that would lead us to here. We have now -2. Inside the parentheses, we have, let's see, what's left on the top? X to the 6th on the top over, let's see, we have -2 to the 3rd. Common mistake is to think that this negative goes away when you move it down. It does not. It's only this one, only the negative on the exponent. Okay, so it's -2 cubed, and then x to the 6th on the top, and then y to the 9th on the bottom. Okay. And now we've finished off the exponents. All the exponents are positive. We got rid of the outside exponent. We're good. Okay, so now we can move on to multiplication. Let's do this. Well, what's -2 times all of this? Hopefully, it would make sense to you to see that that's going to just be -2 x to the 6th, and on the bottom, -2 cubed y to the 9th. All right, and we're almost done. But we can do a little bit more simplification. Because on the SAT, they would expect you to figure out what is this number down here, this -2 to the 3rd power. And that's just asking, really, what is -2 times -2 times -2? So that's going to be -8, right? So we're going to have -2 x to the 6th on the top, -8 on the bottom, y to the 9th. And then finally, we can cancel off, we can't do anything with the x and the y, but we can do something with this -2 and the -8. We can simplify those. We could divide the top and the bottom by -2, and that would get us to, well, -2 divided by -2 is just 1, so that leaves us just with x to the 6th on the top, and -8 divided by -2, the negatives would cancel, leaving us just with 4, and then we'd have y to the 9th. And that would be our answer. My sister just despises me for the fact that whenever I draw circles, almost always, I never quite close the loop. It just drives her bonkers. But, so, apologies. All right, but anyway, so there's our answer, okay, for that one. Then, last question. Let's do this fast. Let's clear up a little space. And it says, all right, this looks terrifying. You know, if we got this times that is this, what is this? Okay, but whenever you have something on the SAT where it's asking for some sort of combination of things, we talked about this, right? Where we're not just asking what is x or what is y, but something like x times y, it usually means, almost always, that we can rearrange what we're given so that we put it in that form. Okay? So let's just see what happens. Let's try this. So I'm going to write it out here. So we have 1/3, I'll deal with that in a moment, times x to the 4th times y squared divided by x cubed y. Let's just deal with the variables first. Okay, we'll come back to the 1/3 in a minute. But if I multiply these things out, would you agree that that would just be 1/3 times x4 y2 over x3 y? Just take a moment. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Okay? Well, and now we can just use our division rule, right? We know that when you have the same base, we can just subtract the exponents, the top one minus the bottom one. So that gets us to here. We're going to have 1/3 times, well, x4 minus the x, well, the 4 minus the 3 gets us just to x on the top, right? And 2 minus, presumably that would be a 1. 2 minus 1, that would just be y. Well, they said xy is just 12. Right? So we know that this right there is just 12. So it really just kind of boils down to is what's 1/3 times 12? And that would just be 4. And there's our answer. Okay, I know this video went on long again, but hopefully that was helpful. I will be sending out, you know who you are, I'll be sending out some homeworks based on these types of questions, so yeah, good times. All right.